The 1960s were the golden age of rhythm and blues. When horn sections punched through the air, harmony groups dressed sharp, and every stage burned with soul. The Impressions were preaching poetry. Booker T and the MGs turned grooves into gold, and the Temptations redefined cool itself. These are the R&B bands that shaped an era, and what became of them today. Number 12, the Marquis, the blueprint of Memphis soul. Long before Stax became a powerhouse, there was the Marquis. Formed in Memphis in 1958, these young session cats became the label's house band, laying the foundation for Southern soul.
The Marquis.
Their 1961 hit, Last Night, wasn't just a groove. It was the birth cry of an entire sound. They were the first integrated R&B group to come out of Memphis, with Steve Cropper, Packy Axton, and Donald Duck Dunn, later joining Booker T and the MGs. Their rough-edged brass and deep-pocket rhythms defined the sound of Stax before anyone knew what Memphis soul meant. Today, surviving members occasionally reunite for tributes, still greeted like royalty by fans who know where the groove began. Without the Marquis, there'd be no Stax, no Southern soul. Just a missing heartbeat in American music. And speaking of that Stax sound, the next band made it unforgettable. Number 11, Booker T and the MGs, the sound of Stax. When the needle dropped on Green Onions in 1962, something shifted in American music. Booker T and the MGs weren't just another backing band. They were the engine behind Stax Records, with Booker T. Jones on organ, Steve Cropper on guitar, Donald Duck Dunn on bass, and Al Jackson Jr. on drums. They created a groove so clean and deep it defined the Southern soul sound. They backed Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, and Wilson Pickett, yet their own instrumental cuts became classics in their own right. Behind the scenes, they quietly broke racial barriers as one of the first racially integrated groups in mainstream music. In 1960s Memphis, that was revolutionary. Booker T went on to produce and record for decades, while Cropper became one of rock's most in-demand guitarists. Dunn stayed the backbone of the Blues Brothers band until his passing in 2012. Though Al Jackson Jr.'s life ended tragically in 1975, his drumming spirit still echoes in every tight snare crack that came after. If the Marquis laid the foundation, Booker T and the MGs built the temple, and every soul artist who followed worshipped at that altar. And while Stax ruled the South, up in Chicago, another group was crafting harmonies that stirred the heart. Number 10. The Impressions, voices of a movement. The Impressions weren't just singers. They were the sound of dignity and determination in the 1960s. With Curtis Mayfield's silky falsetto and sharp songwriting, they made soul music that spoke to both the dance floor and the civil rights struggle. Keep on pushing. People get ready. We're a winner. Each was more than a hit. It was a hymn of hope. Formed in Chicago, the group transitioned from doo-wop roots to socially conscious soul, blending gospel grace with street corner harmonies. You got soul! Behind the beauty of their melodies was a message. Love yourself, rise up, stay strong. Mayfield went solo in the 70s, writing Superfly and cementing his legend, while Sam Gooden and Fred Cash kept performing into the 21st century, representing decades of resilience. Even after Mayfield's tragic accident left him paralyzed, his spirit, that gentle defiance, never faded. The Impressions taught soul to mean something, and if that was inspiration, the next band brought pure, joyful elevation. Number 9, the Isley Brothers, eternal fire, endless reinvention. The Isley Brothers were never just a 1960s band.
Summer breeze, all in my mind.
They were an institution. Starting out in the late 50s with church-trained harmonies and raw stage energy, they exploded with shout and twist and shout, setting dance floors ablaze from Harlem to Houston.
Lovely as a ray of sun.
But the 60s were their turning point, when they shifted from high-octane R&B to smooth psychedelic soul. By 1969, It's Your Thing declared independence, both musically and personally.
It's your thing, man. Do what you want.
They'd left Motown and started their own label, T-Neck Records.
The way you feel about it, 'cause only you know.
That move was bold, even defiant, marking the Isleys as survivors in an industry that often swallowed up young black talent. Through lineup changes and eras, from funk to Quiet Storm, they never stopped evolving. Ronald's velvet voice, Ernie's fiery guitar, and their fearless experimentation kept them timeless. Even today, the Isley Brothers tour, proving that true soul never ages. It only deepens. If the Isleys taught us how to stand tall, our next group showed us how to move together in perfect choreographed harmony. Number 8, The Temptations. The sound of sophisticated soul. From Detroit's Motown assembly line came a group that made perfection look effortless. The Temptations weren't just singers. They were stylists, merging sharp suits, slick choreography, and harmonies as smooth as silk on vinyl. When My Girl hit in 1964, it wasn't just a song. It was an anthem for romance itself. Under the guidance of Smokey Robinson and later Norman Whitfield, they evolved from tender ballads to the psychedelic edge of Cloud 9 and Papa Was a Rolling Stone. The group weathered lineup changes, heartbreak, and loss, from David Ruffin's struggles to Paul Williams' tragic passing. Yet, their name remained synonymous with excellence. Today, Otis Williams carries the torch, ensuring that the Temptations' legacy lives on in touring acts and stage productions across the world. Their music remains that rare blend of grace and grit, a mirror of Motown's golden promise. And while the Temptations polished their soul, another Motown family kept it raw, funky, and full of fire. Number 7, The Four Tops. Loyalty, longevity, and legendary harmony. No one embodied consistency quite like the Four Tops.
I often hear another day.
Formed in Detroit in 1953, they spent over a decade honing their harmony before striking gold at Motown.
Some say
When Reach Out, I'll Be There hit the airwaves in 1996, it felt like an earthquake of emotion.
now if you feel that you can't go on.
Levi Stubbs' passionate cry, the rolling drums, the orchestral sweep. It was R&B that felt cinematic, almost spiritual. Unlike many groups of their era, the Four Tops never fractured. Stubbs, Duke Thacker, Obie Benson, and Lawrence Payton stuck together for over 40 years, an unmatched run of loyalty in show business. Their chemistry was the secret sauce. You could hear the brotherhood in every note. After Stubbs' passing in 2008, Duke Fakir carried the flame, still performing with a new lineup that honors their unmatched legacy. Their sound remains a blueprint for how to fuse elegance, power, and heart into one unforgettable harmony.
I'll be there.
If the Four Tops gave us unity, our next band gave us electric energy, a group that took Motown's polish and turned it into pure showmanship. Number 6, The Miracles. Smoky silken poetry. Before Motown became a machine, it had a soul. And that soul was Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Their 1960 hit, Shop Around, became Motown's first million seller, setting the stage for an empire. Smokey's falsetto was honey over heartbreak, and his pen wrote anthems like "The Tracks of My Tears" and "You've Really Got a Hold on Me." Behind the smooth harmonies were members Bobby Rogers, Pete Moore, Ronnie White, and Claudette Robinson, Smokey's wife and the unsung heart of the group. Together they created songs that felt both intimate and universal, love letters dressed in rhythm. Even after Smokey went solo in the 70s, the Miracles carried on with new leads and quiet persistence. Decades later, they were finally inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a long overdue honor for the band that helped build Motown's emotional core. If Smokey gave us the poetry of love, the next act gave us its fiery, untamed side. If these soul legends are stirring up memories, hit that like button. It helps keep the groove alive for every R&B lover out there. And don't go anywhere. The top 5 bands on this list still have stories that'll make your heart sing. Number 5, the Delphonics. Dreamy soul from Philly's heart. Before Philly soul had a name, the Delphonics were already defining it. Formed in the mid-60s by brothers William and Wilbert Hart with Randy Kane, they gave R&B a softer, more romantic edge. La La Means I Love You in 1968 was pure velvet, a lush blend of strings, falsetto, and innocence that made hearts flutter from corner stores to dance halls. Produced by the visionary Tom Bell, the Delphonics created a sound that floated between dream and desire, the blueprint for groups like the Stylistics and Blue Magic. Their songs didn't just play, they caressed the air. Though the lineup shifted over time, William Hart carried the torch for decades until his passing in 2022. Today, tribute groups keep their harmonies alive, performing for audiences who still sway to those timeless falsettos. The Delphonics taught the world that soul could be tender and still hit deep. And while Philly soul shimmered with romance, our next group made sure the rhythm stayed fierce and funky. Number 4, the Meters. The groove architects of New Orleans. Down in New Orleans, where funk was baptized in brass and second-line rhythm, the Meters were the architects of the groove. Formed in 1965 by Art Neville, George Porter Jr., Leo Nocentelli, and Zigaboo Modeliste, they crafted a raw, rhythmic sound that turned instrumental soul into something downright spiritual. With hits like Sissy Strut and Look Kapai Pai, they weren't singing, they were speaking in rhythm. Each riff, each drum snap carried that humid Crescent City pulse. Behind the scenes, they backed legends like Dr. John and Lee Dorsey, their fingerprints all over the foundation of funk. Though the original lineup split in the late 70s, reunions and spin-offs, like the Funky Meters, kept the legacy alive. Today, their grooves echo in hip-hop samples, from Run DMC to Missy Elliott. The Meters didn't just play soul, they rewired its heartbeat. And if that was New Orleans fire, our next group brought gospel spirit straight to the streets. Number 3, the Staple Singers. Faith, funk, and freedom. Before soul got political, the Staple Singers were already preaching truth from the church pew to the concert stage. Led by the deep, gentle baritone of Pop's Staples and powered by the golden harmonies of his daughters, Cleotha, Yvonne, and the incomparable Mavis. They carried gospel into the mainstream without ever losing their spirit. By the mid-60s, they had evolved from traditional gospel roots into freedom songs that mirrored the civil rights movement. Tracks like Respect Yourself and I'll Take You There weren't just hits. They were mantras of empowerment, lending spiritual conviction with deep Southern groove. Oh, yeah. Mavis Staples, the family's enduring soul, still tours today. Her voice, seasoned with decades of wisdom and grace. Through her, the staple singer's legacy breathes on.
Respect yours.
A reminder that soul music can lift both spirit and conscience. If that was faith-driven fire, the next band brought pure rhythm and streetlight swagger. Number 2, the Drifters. The gentle giants of Atlantic soul. Before Motown, before the British invasion, there were the Drifters.
Every smile for the man that held your hand beneath the veil.
A constantly evolving ensemble that defined early R&B cool. Born under the Atlantic Records banner, they gave us timeless treasures like Under the Boardwalk, Save the Last Dance for Me, and There Goes My Baby.
I love you oh so much.
What made the Drifters special wasn't just the songs. It was the voices. Clyde McPhatter, Benny King, Rudy Lewis, Johnny Moore, a rotating cast of velvet tones that kept the magic alive through decades of change. Their music painted city skylines and seaside romances wrapped in strings and doo-wop heartbeats. Today, several touring lineups carry the name, but the spirit remains the same. Romantic, wistful, eternal. From Harlem ballrooms to British stages, the Drifters' influence still echoes in every harmony group that followed. But if you think we've hit the peak, wait until you feel the groove that sits at number 1. Number 1, the OJs. The sound of brotherhood and everlasting groove. Few groups embody the evolution of soul quite like the OJs. Formed in Canton, Ohio in the late 50s, they didn't hit their stride until the early 70s. But the seeds were sown in the 1960s, grinding through clubs, learning harmony, and defining their chemistry. When Philadelphia International Records found them, the trio, Eddie Leverett, Walter Williams, and William Powell, transformed into R&B royalty. Songs like Love Train, Backstabbers, and For the Love of Money carried the social bite of the times wrapped in danceable golden grooves. Their harmonies spoke of loyalty and life's struggles, often reflecting the deep brotherhood that sustained them through decades of change. Even now, Eddie Leverett continues to perform, his voice aged but resolute, the sound of a survivor. The OJs didn't just sing about love, they lived it, proving that soul endures when it's rooted in truth, faith, and family. From smoky clubs to grand stages, they rode the rhythm of a changing America and never lost their balance. From Memphis horns to Motown harmonies, from gospel fire to Philly silk, these 12 R&B bands built the soundtrack of a generation and kept the groove alive for all who came after. Thanks for joining us on this soul stroll through the 1960s, a time when rhythm met revolution and every beat told a story. If you felt the spirit tonight, subscribe to keep the groove alive and never miss our next soulful journey. Up next, R&B Wonders. Where are they now? 12 artists from 1960s. Click the end screen and let's keep the rhythm rolling.